Hello, family and friends. My name is Paul Estabrooks, and today is Valentine's Day 2021. And it's a significant year for us. But Valentine's Day itself is almost a mystery. There were 3 St. Valentines in early church history, and no one is really sure which one this day was named after. On the Christian calendar, today is called the Feast of St. Valentine. And the most agreed upon story of who Valentine was that he was a bishop during the 3rd century. And it was he who allegedly was beheaded by the Roman Emperor Claudius II because he secretly performed weddings for soldiers who had been forbidden to marry. Claudius, the emperor, believed that a wife and family hindered the performance of his soldiers, and that's why he had forbidden it. And this Bishop Valentine was executed on this day in 270 A.D. He was supposedly corresponding during his jail time before his execution with the daughter of the jailer, whose name was Asterius. And the story goes that he had prayed for this jailer's daughter, who was blind, and she was healed from her blindness, and they became very close. And in later stories, they would tell about his writing letters to her with the ending affectionately written as, "From your Valentine." Well, whoever St. Valentine was, we're delighted to have this special day when we remember love and how we are so appreciative of the love that we have with others, especially those who are close to us, as in our case, my spouse Diane. And it is a very significant anniversary today for us, because on Valentine's Day in 1964, I asked her to marry me. This is what we looked like at that time, a bunch of youngsters, eh? And it was a very exciting weekend. That year, in 1964, Valentine's Day was on Friday. I had ordered the diamond ring for Diane. I had a special idea. I saw a ring with a gal I worked in the bank with at that time that had heart-shaped spaces in the setting of the diamond. And there was only one place I could find that had something like that, and that was in Toronto. Now, we were living at that time here in London, Ontario. And so I ordered the ring, and it wasn't going to be ready until Saturday, the 15th of February. So on the 14th, I asked her to marry me and said, tomorrow we're going to celebrate this. That was all I told her. Well, the next day, we double dated with Mac and Lee, some friends of ours here in London, and we drove from London to Toronto, where I picked up the diamond and popped the question again to Diane with the ring on her finger in the car on that Saturday afternoon. We went for dinner to celebrate at the second Swiss chalet that existed. In those days, the very first Swiss chalet in Canada was on Bloor Street. The second one was downtown Yonge Street, not far from Maple Leaf Gardens. And I had gotten tickets for the 4 of us to go to a hockey game that night. And it was kind of funny because we had our Swiss chalet dinner, and today, on this 57th anniversary of that event, we're going to have Swiss chalet dinner again. But not in a Swiss chalet, obviously, with what's going on here now. We went to the hockey game that night. Toronto was playing Detroit, and fortunately Toronto won, made it a great evening all the way around. But Diane, not being especially interested in hockey, she sat there under those bright lights of Maple Leaf Gardens with her diamond up, just flashing it back and forth in the lights as diamonds do. And I never forgot that. That was a great weekend. And that's the weekend, which happens to be 57 years ago today, when we were engaged to be married. We have another anniversary, however, on this day as well. In fact, today is our 50th anniversary of being in Christian ministry. After college and university, I worked for 3 years at the television station here in London. I thoroughly enjoyed those years, working in TV production and then in promotion. But in 1971, we were accepted as missionaries with Far East Broadcasting Company in Manila, Philippines. And so on January 1st of 1971, we left London to go to the headquarters of FEBC, which was in Whittier, California. Today it's in La Mirada, next door, in Orange County. And we left home. Diane, we had just had a minor car accident, but enough to give Diane a sprained ankle. And so here she is walking out to the airplane on New Year's Day on crutches. And I make my first trip out with her and get her settled and all my gear. And then I go back for a second trip with 2 kids, one in each arm. At that time, Tanya was just shy of 1 year old, and Tim was almost 2.5. And we went to California to learn that our visas for the Philippines had not yet been approved. And so we had to wait. So it was really tough for us. Can you imagine a Canadian family down in California in January, where the temperature was so beautiful and warm? The mission gave us a vehicle, and we were able to visit, places like insignificant places like the San Diego Zoo and Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm. And then we drove up to San Francisco because FEBC had a big super-powered shortwave radio station there called KGEI, broadcasting at that time just into Latin America. Later, they added a beam on the other end and broadcast into the Eastern Soviet Union as well. So we spent 6 weeks in California, as we jokingly say, suffering for the Lord, before getting ready to go to the Philippines. This picture on the left, you see us on the day we left California at the front of FEBC's office sign. And on the right is our picture in the Philippines, the first family picture we had taken there after arrival. We flew from Los Angeles to Tokyo and then changed flights in Tokyo. In fact, we have a funny story in Tokyo. Tanya was always a very bold and fearless little child. And we lost her in this busy Tokyo airport. Diane just about went frantic. And we found her. She was at the top of an escalator trying to figure out how she could get back down because it was only going up. And fortunately, we found her. And everything was fine. We got on the plane, and from Tokyo, we flew to Manila on the afternoon of Valentine's Day, 1971. It was a Sunday also that year, and we were met by the Madison family and Carl Lawrence family there, who we were going to be working with at the Communications Research Center in Manila. We had incredible times there, ministering through radio and a multimedia project, because today is also an anniversary. In 1973, on Valentine's Day, was the grand finale of the Love Song Music Festival in Manila. That was the culmination of a multimedia project that a bunch of us guys had dreamed up. The whole story of this is told in my video number 5 in this series on my YouTube channel. And so I'm not going to tell you the whole story over again, but suffice to say that the finale of this great multimedia project, which had incredible impact on the young people of the Philippines in those days, ended with a festival with a music group from California called The Love Song, and the speaker called Mike McIntosh at the Rizal Stadium in Manila, downtown Manila. And the finale was on this date, Valentine's Day, 1973. And over the 3 nights, it had been held for 3 nights in a row, culminating on Valentine's. And over those 3 nights, 5,000 people, young people, came forward to commit their lives to follow Jesus Christ. It was a significant event after we'd shown the movie Crossing the Switchblade and other multimedia events through the project. We worked with FEBC Radio all through the 1970s, from 71 to 1979, mid-79, before kids started school. But they continued on at the same school at Faith Academy when we switched ministries to work with Open Doors with Brother Andrew in Asia, the Asia office, which was in Manila, where we were already living, and but working primarily into China. And that's how I got involved later with this big Project Pearl, when we delivered 1 million Bibles in one night onto a beach in southern China. That started that was 1981 when the delivery was made, but we joined in 1979. And we worked with Open Doors Asia, based in Manila, from 79 to 1983. In 1983, we moved to Singapore to be the Southeast Asia coordinator for all of those Southeast Asia countries for Open Doors Asia. And those were wonderful years. I also have a video in this series called Move to Singapore, which some people think is a suggestion rather than just a history. It has the most views of all of this video series. But you'll see there about our moving to Singapore, which were 3 wonderful years we spent there, where the kids were primarily, except for Melinda, they were all in high school. And in 1986, our eldest son, Tim, who is our son, Tim, graduated from Singapore American School and came home to go to university in Canada. And so Open Doors asked me if I would come home and start a truly Canadian office for Open Doors. And so we agreed to do that. In 1986, as a family, we came home, and there's another video about this trip as well. We came through the Soviet Union and then to the UK, where Diane was doing some classes in ESL, English as a Second Language teaching, which she later did extensively until her retirement. And we got back to Canada in the beginning of July of 1986. And so I had committed to do this job for 5 years. And I was the director for Canada, the first one, from 1986 until 1991. In the beginning of 92, Open Doors International asked me to move into their roles as an international speaker. And so I became that for the international office, although still living in Canada, relating to the Canada office. And in fact, Paul Johnson, the new director there, and the team were very, very close friends. And most people just identified me with Open Doors Canada, but I was working for the international office. During that time, I wrote 5 books for the ministry. One of them was the story of Project Pearl, that 1 million Bible delivery on June the 18th, 1981. And so if you're mathematically inclined, you realize that this coming June 18 of this year will be the 40th anniversary of that incredible project. Absolutely miraculous. My book is titled Night of a Million Miracles. And it was not written until 2008 because of security reasons for the people inside who have been involved in that project with us. But now it is out in a multiple number of languages, and you can get a copy of that book from the Open Doors Canada office and website. I retired officially from Open Doors International at the end of 2016. And when I was still in my mid-70s, so I had worked a good 10 years longer than what is considered normal retirement age, and I still feel like I could have gone even further. So since then, I've been involved with two charities. One is called Hope Outreach of Canada. Now, I was really involved with it part-time as a board member from the early 90s, which is a charity that supports ministries in the Holy Land, especially among the Palestinian people. So one of them is called Bethlehem Bible College, significant school in Bethlehem where Jesus was born. And they've gone through some incredible challenges during this pandemic, but they've survived, and not only survived, they've thrived by extending their reach through online courses. They also have a humanitarian arm that's very important called the Shepherd Society, helping people. 80% of Bethlehem's economy is tourism. Well, there hasn't been a tourist there for almost 1 year. Imagine how a town or a city functions or doesn't function when 80% of their economy is lost. And so the Shepherd Society has been helping feed hundreds and hundreds of families in the Bethlehem area. And so I've spent a considerable amount of time since my retirement from Open Doors helping Hope Outreach. They also support the ministry of Musalaha, which is a reconciliation ministry between Jewish Christians and Palestinian Christians. It's a wonderful ministry, and you can learn more about that on their website called Hope Outreach. I've also worked with my best friend Jim Cunningham. One of the 5 books that I wrote was called Standing Strong Through the Storm. Jim helped me make a teacher's guide and a student guide for that book, and then began to work with me in teaching this all over the world, starting 20 years ago. And then he and I both worked together on the first publication in English in 2004. And it's now in its 3rd edition. It has just been printed by the Open Doors Canada office, Standing Strong Through the Storm, Edition 3. And this course is now published in 48 languages. And we thank the Lord for the opportunities that have come to do that. And Jim and I have taught it in almost that many language areas with interpreters, of course. And he worked in his last assignment with Wycliffe Bible translators at Canil in British Columbia, where he and Rita live. And he set up in his retirement a charity called Go Teach Global. And through that charity, Jim and I travel the world until the pandemic and teaching and sharing different, and it's much of it being from Standing Strong Through the Storm and its related academic course called Theology of Persecution and Discipleship. So this makes Valentine's Day for us very special. Our engagement today, as of today, we have been in Christian ministry for 50 years. And God has blessed us over the years because of his great love. Valentine's Day is known for love, but there is no greater love than what God has shown to us through giving his son Jesus for us so that we can be adopted into his family. I hope you have experienced that love too.